First of all, again, welcome. I will mention, of course, that I do with a lot of the sporting memory things, is the fact that with the quiz that we have, it's a fun quiz, and basically, it's not a general knowledge quiz. It isn't a matter of finding out the...
Oh, it's not a general knowledge.
It's a matter of trying to trigger a subject, to try to trigger a conversation, something like that. So, if everybody's ready, is everybody ready?
We're all ready, yeah.
Yeah, we're all ready. Good. We'll go for. I'll start out with a couple of quiz questions, because they're easy ones.
Before we start, Norman.
Yes.
Can I just ask where toilets are, please?
Anyway, it's got to be one of them programs, isn't it? Right, that's fair enough. So, question number one. In the popular children's nursery rhyme, what is Wednesday's child full of? Yeah, we've got Carol. I had a feeling you went. Go on, Carol, what is it?
War.
Full of war. Can you give us the full verse then?
Oh, Monday's child is fair of face. Tuesday's child is full of grace. Wednesday's child is full of war. Thursday's child has far to go.
Yeah.
Friday's child is loving and giving. And Saturday's child, that's me, works hard for a living.
Oh, you had to get that, didn't you? Yeah.
Child that's born on the Sabbath day is bonny and blithe and good and gay.
See?
Oh, very good.
Yeah, very. It does deserve a record. Nobody likes a smart Alec. But anyway.
That's me done now.
What organisation did Robert Baden-Powell found in 1908? If you want to answer, give a question. Go on, Dave. We'll come to David. David Draycott, our Yorkshire friend. Yes, David?
Boy Scouts.
Yeah, Boy Scouts. I've got to ask the question as well. So, were you in the Boy Scouts?
No, Boys Brigade.
Boys Brigade. So, what instrument did you play? What instrument did you play? Did you have a brigade band?
Yes, we did. Yes, over in Halifax.
Right. So, what instrument did you play?
I wasn't in the band. No. I wasn't in the band at all.
No, too complicated.
Tone deaf, me.
Tone deaf. Yes, we realised that, Dave. We realised that. But still, brings back a nice memory. This made me smile when I heard this. Sorry, did you want to say something else, David?
No, carry on. No, carry on.
No, that's fair enough. Right. Who said if you want, and I don't want any comments from the ladies in this one. All right. Who said if you want something said, ask a man. If you want something done, ask a woman.
Wow.
Who would have said that? I think of it as a strong female personality. Ian McCulloch. Oh, yes, Ian.
My wife. Couldn't say that. She's in the other room. No idea.
Anybody know? Ann and Barry. I had a feeling, Barry. Ann and Barry, we'll come to you. Go on, just a sec. We'll come to you in a second. Yes, we've got you.
Was it Margaret Thatcher?
It was Margaret Thatcher, yes. And you can actually hear her saying it, can't you, really? You know, strong personality, shy, retiring personality initially, but which movie, you can tell this is an American question, which film features Jack Nicholson saying the famous "Here's Johnny" line? Anybody into that kind of film, the frightening film? Yes, Mike Jackson. Yes, Mike, you're not going to put a mask on to say this, are you?
I thought about it today, but I've saved them for next week. Is it One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest?
No, it's not. That was a great film.
Oh, right.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Anybody else want to have a go? Anybody else want to wait? Yeah. We've got Julian Collin, yes? Yeah, we'll just come to you in a second. Julian Collin, yes, go on.
Yeah,
go on,
got so Shining. The Shining.
The Shining.
Shining.
It was you. Yes, it was. Yeah, it was
I
indeed.
get Dad to say it.
Yeah. So, Julie,
Yeah?
did you actually see the film?
I've seen bits of it, but I only know it's the scene with the shower, is it?
Well, yeah. No. The scene with the shower is Psycho.
Oh, no, I've not seen it then.
Shining is the one where he hacks through the door and then puts his head around with a manic expression saying, "Here's Johnny."
Oh, no, not my type of film, that, no.
No, I must admit I didn't watch it. I'm not into frightening films. We might talk about films later and what your kind of film that you want to do. Right, which group, and I think most people will get this, which group famously sang about the song about the YMCA? Carol's had one go. David's had one go. Annabelle. Yeah, Stephen Maggs, all right. Go. We'll go. Graham Lockwood. We'll come to Graham because Graham Lockwood's not said anything yet, which is unusual. Yeah. Graham.
It was the village people.
The village people, yeah. Can you do the dance? Can you do the dance?
Well, I could back in the day. I don't know about now.
Yes, I know. This one. From which Disney movie did the song When You Wish Upon a Star originally appear?
When I would
Yeah, that's the one, Tony. When you wish upon a star.
There's no mentions if you go.
Yeah, hey, we're into it. We're into it. John, you're the film buff, Mr. K. I'm just going to hold you for a second.
Sorry.
No, you're all right. No, go on, John. Go on.
From the south.
No, it wasn't.
Oh, wrong. I'll shut up. Sorry.
No, not at all. Anne and Barry. Yes, Barry?
Was it the Wizard of Oz?
No, it wasn't the Wizard of Oz, but you're on the right line.
We're off to see the wizard, the wonderful.
Oh, Tony, well done.
It was Pinocchio. It was Pinocchio.
Pinocchio.
Actually in Pinocchio. I actually played, this is true I actually played, when I was with the Horton Weavers, I actually played the part of Pinocchio in a week-long production. One at the Grand Theatre at Blackpool and the other one at Southport. And we had all the, the string and all that kind of thing. So I played Pinocchio. Can you imagine that, McCulloch? Can you imagine me playing Pinocchio?
He's getting bigger.
Can I just
puppet on a string?
Correct. He was indeed. Andrew, can you just unmute all the mics in one go? Is that possible?
Yeah, it's done.
Yeah.
Yeah, all except Andrew Whittaker's. Right, that's fair enough. I'll tell you a story. This is a true story. So I don't know whether we might edit this out after. But when we did the show, I sang the song, but I did it in a production of Cinderella at the Grand at Blackpool. And the scene is that Cinderella, I played buttons. Cinderella has had her tickets thrown to one side because she can't go to the ball. And I'm in love, Buttons is in love with Cinderella, and all the kids are on my side. We know the scene, the pathos. And I'm cheering her up. So I'm sat down at the side of her, and I start singing When You Wish Upon a Star. When you wish upon a star, it doesn't matter who you are. When you wish upon a star, your dreams come true. And the next line is, there's a bolt out of the blue, fate steps in, and you carry on with the rest of it. And I sang, the boat, and this is a midweek performance. There's about 600, 700 people crammed in, mostly pensioners, to be honest. And I got to the line which said, one gentleman on the front row gave the loudest break of wind I have ever heard. The band, who were literally right next to us, a three-piece band, and it went. I sang the line. Everybody in the band just collapsed. The keyboard player luckily started going, and I've got to finish this lovely romantic song. Cinderella, who's shaking away with laughter, turns her face to put it to my shoulder, and she's shaking, and I'm supposed to carry on singing. And I just couldn't. In the end, it just turned into a comedy scene, one of the greatest love scenes in Cinderella, and it turned into a comedy because of this one incident. It's like, it frightens me to death when I talk about it, but never mind. Let's move on to our topic again. We've known each other quite a while, and he's supported a lot of us as far as Rosemary is concerned. He's a local lad as far as Lancashire is concerned, and Preston as well. And I think Keith McIntosh wants to make a quick comment. Yes, Keith, do you want to make a comment? Just a minute, any second.
I just want to welcome for the very first time on the bottom row of my screen, Alan Robinson, Councillor William.
Yes.
On the Zoom Sporting Memories. Good to see you guys.
Sporting
sorry, Keith, can you just repeat that? The youngster was playing something odd.
Okay.
Alan Robinson.
Alan Robinson.
Yeah.
Councillor William Yates of Wickley Woods. And Passy.
All right. Well, welcome to them anyway. Special welcome, gentlemen. We hope you enjoy yourself. You just timed it nice because we're going to have our special guest on. Our special guest here. Do you want me to introduce you or do you want to do it, Keith?
No, over to you. You're the professional. Thank you very much.
Wouldn't even say anything, right? No, our special guest. I said he's done a lot of charity events as well. He comes from the world of snooker. Turned professional in 1992. He made his debut at the crucible stages of the 1999 World Championship.
In black and white. It was in black and white.
Black and white. I'll do the gags here, and you just answer the question. Compiled 105 century breaks. It's Ian McCulloch. Can we give him a big round of applause? Well, big welcome. I know you won't hear most of them because the mics are music.
Yeah. The biggest round of applause I've had for about 20 years, that.
That's why I came for you.
When we talk about, I mean, obviously, when we talk about snooker, I think no matter what generation, that was one of the games that everybody could play, particularly in our generation, the snooker halls. Sometimes our parents frowned if we were hanging around the snooker halls.
My mum and dad did, yeah.
I'm just going to say that. What was, when you started, so how young were you when you started playing?
Oh, wow. I was about 10 years old. And...
You can't go into a snooker hall with alcohol in it.
No, I never did. I never actually went to the snooker hall until I was about 16.
All right. Yeah.
And I was about 10 years old, and I used to love watching the snooker on TV.
Yeah.
And my mum, God bless her, absolutely loved Alex Higgins. And I will tell you a couple of stories about Alex Higgins later on. And I think I was about 11 or 12, and my dad actually made me a snooker table. And it had 7 pockets. That's why I ended up being that good. It wasn't a proper snooker table. So, and I just started playing. And then when I was about 12 or 13, a friend of mine who lives just up the road from me, his mum and dad actually were landlord and landlady of a pub not far from where we live called the Selborne in Preston. And this is when the pubs used to shut in the afternoons, and they didn't open till 7 o'clock at night. So especially during the holidays when the weather was bad, we just used to go in the pub and play pool and things like that. And I got pretty good pretty quickly. And I started playing for the team. I could only play home games. I couldn't play away games because I wasn't old enough. And when I got to 16, I just didn't have any interest of, hanging around the corner of the shop at night. I wanted to go in the snooker club. So I started working at Leyland Motors. And I remember going in the snooker club, my first night on a full-size table, I made a 39 break. Mm-hmm. And that was it. I was just bitten by the bug. It's weird, isn't it? I never wanted to be a snooker player.
So when you were that age and you started that, then who did you want to be? Because everybody a footballer, when we kick a ball around in the street, we want to be whoever's the greatest. But who was your hero?
Well, I was bitten by the bug, and I didn't know him at that time, but it was Alex Higgins. Yeah. He was doing everything wrong, and he was my idol. What a player!
Well, he was, and we'll as you said, we'll come to some of the memories later. When we talk about. Excuse me. What was it like touring around the world? I mean, when you started, you obviously have to build up a career, and you suddenly realise that you've got the talent for it. And obviously, mum and dad will be a lot happier when they realised how good you were. Yeah. And the fact that you were following your dream, weren't you?
Absolutely, and Steve and Tony on the footballing lads. Everybody thinks when you play professional sport for your living, it's a laugh a minute, and it doesn't. It's not like that. It's when we were younger, and we were tootling off to Thailand and China when we were 24 and 25 years old. Business class flights. I grew up in Avenham, Norman, and I used to get on a plane and turn left. It was amazing. I didn't know what to do, and then it was great when we were young, and then. When you realise that it's your job and it's not it's not just a one big holiday like we thought it was up until I was about 25, and then the seriousness of it kicks in, and that's when the professionalism kicks in. But if I can't complain. When I went all over the world with it.
Yeah. So who were your mates on? Obviously, when you were touring, it's like, I suppose it is like now, is the fact that all the same players go to all the same tournaments, especially when you get onto a certain level. Were there any particular mates that you hung about with?
Probably my best mate from when I was playing was David Harold from Stoke. Dave Harold, who's, I spoke to Dave today actually. Dave was obviously more my generation. From the older generations, believe it or not, I am and still speak to him regularly. Steve Davis,
Jimmy White.
Jimmy White, yeah. I used to see Jimmy a lot, and there's plenty of stories about Jimmy. We haven't got enough time for them stories.
A lot of words.
Which what, Tony? You were saying about the snooker players, Tony? No.
Peter White.
Jimmy White.
Jimmy White.
Yeah. Played Jimmy White many times. Yeah. Brilliant.
Well, you've been alluding to this, and I know we've only got a limited amount of time, but go on. Let's tell it. Any stories you can repeat? Knowing this, with the audience that we've got here, but knowing the fact that this might be on YouTube as well. I don't want any libel cases coming to
I'll tell you a story about Alex Higgins. Yeah. And it's not a particularly funny story, but it's a story that tells you how good Alex Higgins was. And to be successful at any sport, you have to have a certain amount of ability. Yeah. And Alex had ability to burn. He did just about everything wrong. Hello, are we there?
Yeah, we are. We're still talking. I can still see you, and everybody can.
I don't know what's happened to my pictures there. Just 1 second.
No, that's all right.
All right, I can still see. So I'll tell you an indication of how much ability Alex Higgins had, regardless of how he treated that ability. It would be about 1990, so we're going back about 30 years ago. And at the time, Alex was playing at a couple of clubs. He was playing at the Masters in Stockport, and he was playing at a club in Bury called Monty's. Both of them have gone now. And at the time, there was a guy from Thailand had just come on the scene, a guy called James Watana. I don't know whether any of the listeners remember James Watana. And James Watana had won the World Amateur Championships, and Watana's manager at the time, Tom Moran, thought it would be a really, really good idea for Watana, before he got on the professional tour, to harden himself up with a lot of money matches, which were all the rage at the time. And Watana went around the country and he played everybody for money, and he beat nearly everybody for money. And Higgins at the time was playing at Monty's in Bury, and I was over there at the time practicing with my friend called Jack McLaughlin, who at the time was ranked 30 or 40 in the world. Ken Duncan will probably remember Jack. And Higgins hadn't been in the club for 2 weeks, and his cue was under the table for 2 weeks. And he came in the club, and everybody was a little bit surprised to see him. And they went, what have you come in for? He said, I'm playing some Chinese kid tonight for £1,000. Now, he hadn't picked his cue up for 2 weeks. If I didn't pick my cue up for 2 days, I couldn't pot 3 balls together. Higgins hadn't picked his cue up for 2 weeks. And a load of lads were going, this was when Watana played at Bradford. And Higgins hadn't picked his cue up for 2 weeks, and he got his cue out, and he practiced for about 5 minutes, and you wouldn't have thought there was any pockets on the table. He couldn't pot a ball. Yeah. And I thought, well, I've got to go and see this. So we all drove to Bradford that night, and he played James, and I knew Watana because he was an amateur, he was the same generation as me. And I thought, Watana's just going to tear him limb from limb here. And Alex took him to school. And Higgins beat him 7-1, and Watana didn't know which way to look. That's how much ability Alex Higgins had.
Yeah. I mean, he had his problems. He had his demons. I used to play, when we played on the golf tour, he loved his golf, and he used to, especially in the Isle of Man, and he had his problems, he had his demons, as we all know, but...
Yeah, very much so.
And I suppose if you're talking, I mean, Tony mentioned earlier about Jimmy White, the greatest player that never won the World Championship.
Yeah. Yeah.
Seven,
Do you know,
is it 7 times he's been beaten in the final, is it?
six times and a couple of semi-finals as well. And you know, I suppose in every generation of sport, there's if you look at if Hendry and Davis hadn't have come along, how many times would Jimmy White have won the world title?
Yeah.
You know, Ken Duncan's here. Ken's very friendly with Ken Doherty. Ken Doherty's been a world champion. He knows how hard it is to be a world champion. And you know, Jimmy came along in the 80s with Davis, and Davis beat him in a few finals, and then Hendry obviously caused him a lot of heartache in the early 90s.
Yeah. I'll mention about first. What I was going to do was ask you about your greatest career event or your greatest memory. Before I do that, I was checking on the website and I was Andrew and I were looking at some of the pictures that you did. And I only played snooker, as a lot of people do. You knock a ball about if you don't knock any in after about 5 minutes, you get bored. But
yeah, I like
that. The one.
That's the one. That's the one.
Right. Now, we're looking at the principle that 1 foot should be on the floor. And I think you're going to have difficulty here, McCulloch.
There is a little bit of a story behind that, actually. That was it was the 2000, if my memory serves me rightly, it was the 2007 World Championships, I think that, if my memory serves me rightly. And I'd actually beaten Graham Dott, who was at the time the defending champion in the first round. And then I lost in the second round to a very good friend of mine, Anthony Hamilton. And I used to do all the corporate and the promotional things for World Snooker. So when the sessions finished early, I used to go out and do the shows for them and things like that, because obviously people had paid for tickets.
The exhibition.
I lost to Anthony Hamilton that night.
Yeah.
And they asked me if I'd go straight out and play the exhibition, which I was absolutely delighted about when I'd just lost in the World Championships. they were great little shows. I think Steve Davis isn't on that picture. I think it was Steve Davis and myself, and obviously Jan Verhaas is the referee there. We used to go out, and basically we just used to go out for an hour and play 2 or 3 frames and tell silly stories and silly jokes and give each other a bit of stick. But they were good shows. They were good nights, to be fair.
Right. So that was part of your exhibition tour, obviously.
Yeah.
Let's go back to this question then. When you think about the ups and downs you had, what was the biggest thrill of your playing career?
Oh, wow. I get asked this a lot, Norman, to be honest. And I think from a success point of view, winning Switzerland in 2004 was very big. I played Jimmy White in the final. And I'd had about 4 or 5 finals up to that. O'Sullivan had beaten me in the final at Preston. He was Ronnie O'Sullivan. He was so lucky when he beat me 9-5. Paul Hunter, God bless him, had beaten me in the final of the British Open. Ken Doherty, Ken Duncan's good friend, Ken Doherty had beaten me in the final of a big one in Ireland. And it was starting to grate on me a little bit. That you start to think, can I win a big one? And to win Switzerland the way I did, and I suppose Jimmy White in a final at the time was a good draw. He'd beaten Matthew Stevens in the semis, which I was very happy about, and I won 5-1 in the final, and it was a big monkey off my back. Not financially, it wasn't a great paying tournament, but it was a big, to win a big TV event like what it was. It wasn't shown in the UK, but it was shown all over Europe. It was a big weight off my back. But from a match perspective, Norman, too many. I was involved in some absolutely fantastic matches. I was 4-4 with Stephen Hendry at Preston Guildhall. I think there was about 1,300 people in watching, and I broke off in the last frame. Stephen Hendry made a 69 break. He missed on 69. I cleared up with 70. Not just in front of 1,200, 1,300 in the Guildhall, but obviously live on BBC as well. So there was loads of moments like that. No, and I've been very, very fortunate, to be honest.
Yeah. I've got to mention, you did actually go, and I was only going to mention it quickly, I suppose. If we talk about the biggest thrill, I suppose the biggest disappointment, and you mentioned it there, was when Ronnie O'Sullivan beat you in 2004. And the fact that it was at Preston, it was at the Guildhall, everybody in that place, 95% of the people in that place were rooting for you.
Do you know, I played the whole week. I'd played a very good friend of mine on the Saturday night, Rod Lawler, and he should have beaten me, funnily enough. He should have beaten me 5-4, and I won 5-4. And I didn't play till the Wednesday afternoon, which was a 5-day gap. Is really unusual. I played Jimmy White, and I beat Jimmy again. Then I played Hendry, and I beat Hendry. Stephen Maguire, UK champion, a few years down the line, beat Maguire, and I breezed through my semi-final match against Michael Judge, 6-1. A lot of people wouldn't really know who Michael Judge was, but he was a good player. And I couldn't see anything else but winning, even against O'Sullivan, because I've beaten O'Sullivan a few times. And I don't know. I think if the final had been anywhere else, I'm not saying I'd have would have won, but I think the final would have been anywhere else, apart from the Guildhall, I think I would have. It sounds terrible. I think I would have turned up because Ronnie didn't play great and I played worse. And
this is the emotional.
Yeah, I think it was more the fact that it was at Preston Guildhall, and when you're playing matches and you're looking round and the people, you know half the audience because you're from Preston and you know what Preston's like. Everybody knows everybody, don't they? And I don't know. We'll never know. We'll never know. But I mean, to play O'Sullivan in a final, I suppose you're a little bit privileged. But no, it would have been nice to win.
Yeah, I'm sure it would have been. But the fact that you actually got there and you've actually beat all the players on the way up must have been satisfying.
Oh yeah. It would have just. I always think it would have, because my dad's not in the best of health, and sometimes he'd come to the Guildhall when he could, and then if he wasn't very good, he wouldn't come up. I would have always liked to won that for my mum and dad. Not more for me. I just wanted the money. No, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say that.
Nothing changes, Ian, does it?
Sorry, did I say I wanted the money? It was Wendy. Sorry.
You do realise you're not getting paid for this.
I work for nothing all the time, me. So it don't. But no, it would have been nice, and I think extra special to win in your own town. I thought it's something that they could never ever take away.
Yeah. What's the best piece of advice that you were ever given when you started?
Didn't listen to it. I was stupid. And I was advised to treat it like a job and treat every day professionally. And I wasted 4 years. 4 years of my life, and I'd still got up to, from starting at about 700 in the rankings, I got up to about number 50 or 60. And it was just a holiday camp. I was a young lad and earning a few quid and just thinking it was great. And then one day you wake up. I can actually remember the day being sat in the club and thought, this can't continue. I need to do something about this. And even though I was a professional snooker player, I needed to be a professional snooker. I can still remember the day sat in the club looking round.
Right. I've just jotted a few things down here. Is there anybody that would like to ask either question, snooker or what it's like? Yeah, Mike Jackson. Sorry, Mike. Yeah, go on. What's your question?
Can you hear me, Ian? Yeah.
Yes, of course I can, Mike.
Ian, obviously footballers as they get older end up getting other work. Did you ever do anything else other than snooker?
Yes, I did. I look after a few players now. I've been quite fortunate on that front. I look after about half a dozen tour professionals now. I look after one or two darts players. When I say look after, Mike, babysit's probably a better way of describing it. I've been fortunate enough that I've done a lot of work for a lot of the major bookmakers. I worked for William Hill's for 10 years. Still very, very busy, and this is how Keith and Norman and we all sort of like work together. Still very, very busy with events, with dinners, snooker events, darts events. So very, very lucky really that sort of like I managed to keep my fingers in those sorts of like snooker related pies.
If I could just tag on to something there that you mentioned with and I know that you've got all these players now and a lot of these younger players. Did you pass that advice on to the younger players, and did they listen?
Oh, they're frightened to death. They're frightened to death of doing all wrong. No, you want those lads to not make the same mistakes that you made. You know, and the current climate with the coronavirus, and a lot of the lads are on lockdown, and they hate me when I won't let them go and buy a fancy car or a fancy watch, and I say, save your money. because there'll be a day when you need it. And now they're on lockdown and the guys aren't going to be earning any money for 3, 4, 5, 6 months. And they've all got a little bit behind them, which is, it takes the pressure off.
Yeah, and we had this conversation yesterday, and we're not mentioning the player, but one of the young players actually came up to you and said, all that advice you give me, and can I just say thank you?
Oh yeah, he did one of them. He rang me a week last, and he had a very, very good season last year. He was up to about world number 18, and he just, all he wants to do is buy Rolex watches and Porsches and have these 10 grand holidays and all that. And I said to him, put your money away, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. I said, invest it. And he rang me up and he actually said, thank you. I nearly fell on the floor, and I didn't know what to do.
Anybody else got any questions? Any particular question that you want to ask our special guest? Yes, Ken. Oh, Ken, of course, Ken. Yes, Ken.
Mr. Duncan.
Mr. Duncan, yes.
I think one of your highlights must have been, I think it was the quarter-final, wasn't it, at Crucible?
Semis in 2005, Ken.
Sorry, semi-final.
Yeah.
Now, because everybody in snooker, I would think, their goal is to win the World Championship. And even like yourself getting to the quarterfinals, the semi-finals, I mean, it's a wonderful achievement. And nobody can take it away from you, can they?
Oh, no. You're absolutely right, Ken. It's weird because when you get in that position, you can't see anything else but winning. It's like Steve and Mags are on. Steve, when you're scoring goals for Preston North End, you don't think about anything else. You're just in such a good place when you score that goal, and you just feel fantastic. And I went into that semi-final with Matthew Stevens, and I couldn't see anything else but winning. And he beat me 17-14, luckily. And I actually went back to the hotel. It's a true story. So I actually went back to the hotel. If my wife was here now, she'd tell me. I sat on the bed in the hotel room and I burst out crying. And I cried for about an hour. And it's not because you're upset, it's adrenaline.
No, that's right.
And people don't realise it's not, and it's not a financial thing. It's you're that close to being a world champion, which very, very, very few people ever get the chance to do. I could say it's a great highlight to play on down to one table at the Crucible, because very few people did that.
That's right, very much so. Yeah. What year was that, Ian? When Matthew?
1912, I think it was. Ken, it seems that long ago. Was it 1915 or 2005? 15 years ago. Wow.
2005.
Yeah. But I know what you mean when you talk about getting into the bubble and you come back afterwards and your adrenaline's still flowing. And I can, I suppose it's the same in show business. You come after a gig and you can't unwind, And I've had the pleasure of listening to you with your after dinner speech and all your stories. And I can honestly say I've cried as well. Sorry, Ian. Couldn't resist.
Oh dear.
But again, it's like when we talk to footballers. I've interviewed that many footballers, and you turn around and say, and it's the same. You mentioned Steve, we've had chats about this as well. He's lived the dream. He's done what he wants to do. He's played a great sport. He's been very successful at it. And the same with you as well,
Tony's on his money. He's been at Blackburn. He knows what the situation. It's the sad thing with playing sport for your living is it cannot go on forever.
No.
And Mags will tell you. Mags will have seen the ups and downs of Steve when he's been on a massive confidence curve, and every game he's going out and he feels like he's going to score. And then there's them parts of your career where you don't feel like you're going to score. I can remember having a spell where, every tournament I was drawing Stephen Hendry, John Higgins, Ronnie O'Sullivan, and you come in home and it hurts because you're getting beat first round, second round, and you're watching people play other players. And that's the downside to professional sport. The highs are very, very few, but the highs are that good. I think they make up for the downsides.
Yeah.
Is Megs there?
Yes, Megs is here. All right, Megs. Tony wants to.
Hi, Tony.
Hiya, Megs. How's your lad?
Your lad.
I had to get that in.
Mr.
That's in.
That's a really good one for Mags, actually. Mags, how did you cope with Steve when he was playing? When with the highs and lows of 1 minute you're playing really well, the next minute things aren't going your way. As a sporting partner, because my partner went through it. Wendy, I was a horrible person 2 or 3 weeks before the World. Not a nasty person, but I just wouldn't speak. I was that.
You're a miserable get, aren't you?
Have you been speaking to my wife, Tony?
That's the best comment we'll ever get. That one. The timing there was brilliant.
He's not lied, Norman. How did you cope with that, Max?
Okay.
How did you cope with that? With when Steve was on a high and on a low from playing when he was playing?
I found it hard to understand when he played and won, and he could have even scored.
Yeah.
But you never used to know how he was going to be after the match, because even if they won, he could still have a,
Yeah. No, I understand that completely.
No, I am. So I couldn't get my head around that, but
yeah.
What is
that's the sad thing with sport. I think that's the side of sport that people don't see. They see you scoring goals in front of, a packed house at Deepdale, or making 100 break at the Crucible, but they don't see the downsides to it. And sadly, when your playing days come to an end, because it happens for everybody, it's. I personally found it difficult when I finished playing.
Yeah. Do you get the highs watching the young players that you've got, and you all watch them? You won't get the high that you got when you played. I fully understand that. But you must get a lift when you see the advice you pass on to these young players, and then you see them play, and they think,
it's such a mixed bag, because you're ripping your hair out when they miss, and that's why I'm like that. When they win on the TV, it's absolutely fantastic. That they're doing everything right, and it's the situation you put yourself in as a manager and agent, isn't it? You've got that. I suppose that's the turmoil that you have to go through with them.
Yeah, I suppose it's like the footballers about turning around.
Absolutely.
How many footballers want to go into coaching and management after seeing what the managers and coaches go through? And then do you really want to put yourself through that?
Well, I sometimes I think, why am I doing this? It's sometimes you're ripping your hair out, but then you've got on. You've been where they are. You've walked a mile in their shoes.
Yeah.
And you've just got to hope that they listen, and the advice that you give them, it works for them. One man's meat's another man's poison.
Yeah.
Hiya, Keith.
Keith?
Hiya, Keith.
Tony's shouting to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keith had nodded off.
He's nodded off. I don't get bored of him, do I?
No. You're working well.
Sorry, Keith.
All right, Keith.
Yeah. Ken would like to say something. Yes, Ken?
No, I just wanted to mention asking. I can vividly remember coming to watch you play Tony Knowles at Preston. In I don't know what club it was. Somewhere up New Lane or St Joseph's, was it? I don't.
Right.
Me and John Newton came, and that night you beat Tony. It was just an exhibition, I think. And you did a 147 that particular night.
I wasn't as bad as what I thought then. All I can say, he must have been big. That must have been one of them. That must have been one of them nights, Ken, where pockets were big and balls were small.
The fact that you were surrounded by people supping, and there was that's probably.
I think that, Ken. I think that was at St Gregory's.
St Gregory's
on Blackburn.
Yeah,
I think that
would
would be
a long time ago.
That would be now. I bet that's 19.
Oh God,
95.
Could have been. Yeah.
It won't be far off that.
You were a young stuff of a lad then, you see. You could probably cope with it then.
Well, let's work it out. 95, 25 years ago, I'd have been 14.
Oh no, you're older than that.
Oh, where have you gone?
Yeah, right. I'm glad you
didn't.
But what I'm trying to, I'm glad you didn't add your scores up.
Irrespective of how far you won goals in your particular sport, and we're talking about snooker, to do a 147 at any stage, you know, is a marvellous feat. It really is. I think brilliant.
I think the game's changed a lot now, where the younger players have watched. My generation watched Stephen Hendry, for instance, and he changed the way the balls were manipulated, and the tables have changed, and the balls have changed from what they. And it's probably a little bit easier to break build now. I know the pockets are still tighter, but the balls open up a lot easier now. And then obviously, then something like O'Sullivan came along, and your Judd Trumps and your Selbys, and the game's evolving, and it's still a great feat to make a 147. I'll tell you a little story actually. I did an exhibition one night, and I actually made 2 147s in 4 frames. And about 2 frames later, I miscued on 112 for 3 147s in a night.
Yeah.
And the fella stood up at the end of the night and he went, "We've had a fantastic exhibition. It's not often you see 2 century breaks in a night."
Right.
Quite pleased.
Just going on that. Just over 12 months ago, Ken was over here, and he went over to Norbrick Hydro, well, not the Hydro, Norbrick Cricket and Bowling Club.
Yeah, Ken did it, didn't he? He had a couple of maximums, didn't he?
Yeah. He played 8 lads, I think, from the Foul League, you know, and he got a 147 halfway through it. He did over 2 over or 3 over 100, and the last frame he broke off every time, Ken. And the last frame, this guy said, "Listen, I want to break off," and he said, "No problem, you know." So he went off the top cushion back into the pack, splattered them, sent 6 reds down the table, and he sat on his arse there and watched him do a 147.
Made another one, didn't he? It's phenomenal. I think that's the thing, Ken, isn't it? People, you know, you look at Ken Doherty now. Ken's still playing, and he's a shadow of the player he was.
Oh, God,
you know,
right. Yeah.
And I know when I finished in 2012, I think it was, I actually didn't pick my cue up for about a month, and I had to go out and do some exhibitions. And 2 nights on the trot, I did one at Lancaster and I did one at Morecambe, and I made maximums both nights. And I didn't pick my cue up for it. You don't suddenly become a bad player.
No,
you're just not as good as what you were, and that's the frustrating thing.
Yeah. I remember when you talk about the exhibition, I remember Dennis Taylor was a big mate of mine, and when he won the championship in 1985, the celebration was amazing. It really was. And the rest of the country, after what he went through with losing mum and all that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Went back home to Ireland, then came back again. Absolutely amazing. I was chatting to him one day about his exhibitions, and I said, "What's it like when you play with 8 to 10 of them? You get to a snooker club, and there's always some cocky one there." He said, "Yeah, there is." He said, "But the one I remember," he said, "I was playing 8 players, and it wasn't one who was playing, it was his mate. And he came over and he said, 'You think you're good, do you, Dennis?' He said, 'Well, I do.'"
You think you're good?
He said, my mate Tom will beat you." He said, king of this club, oh, you beat you." And he said, "Oh, right, yeah, fair enough." Anyway, I said to Dennis, "So how did it make you feel?" He said, "Well, let's put it this way, Norman." He said, "We had a lot of fun, and they expect you to pot the balls, and we did. I didn't mind if I lost to the other 7, but I wasn't going to lose to him, because his mate would give me..." And at the end, he said, the poor lad, he said he was a good player. He said, "I give him 3 black stars or something like that." He said, "But I was determined." He said, "And I absolutely mocked him." And he said, "I felt really sorry because he was a lovely lad." And this guy came up, his mate, and said, how much practice do you put in?" He said to Dennis, he said about 7 or 8 hours a day.
Yeah, just 7 or 8.
Yeah, and then this lad said, "Well, my mate would have been that good if he practiced his 7 or 8 hours a day," you know, because they're in a world of their own, aren't they?
I remember playing in the North East one night. I used to go up to the North East and do a lot of exhibition matches. And it was at... my mind's just gone blank. It was at... Doesn't matter. It'll come to me. It was a club, Stockton Buffs Club.
You're just name dropping now, aren't you, Ian?
Stockton. You wouldn't be pleased if you got to Stockton Buffs Club, and there was about 300 in the room. And at the time, the England junior side, about 6 of the lads who were in the England junior side played up in the northeast. And there was Gary Wilson, there was Robin Wilson, there was Michael Rhodes, there was David Craggs. And they were all good junior players, they're all 100 break players. And big Robin Wilson went on first. I broke off and he made 70. Gary Wilson went on second. Gary Wilson lost in the semi-finals of the World Championships last year. I broke off. Gary Wilson made 60. Put me behind the yellow, cleared up with 50. And then Michael Rhodes went on, and I think he made 240 breaks. And then David Craggs went on, and David Craggs made a 70 break. So I'm 4-0 down, and I haven't seen a ball. And I just stood up and I started clapping. And everybody went, "What's he doing?" I said, "Thanks very much, lads. You're doing all the work, and I'm getting paid. Well done." Happy times. I'd love to be back. I'd love to be back there again doing that.
Yeah. I'll ask you one question before we finish, because I know time's getting on. We could. The thing is, we could talk for hours. We could talk with all the people here listening.
You usually do, Norman.
Yeah, I think we would be that level, wouldn't we? So you mentioned your 147-1s, and I'm not quite sure on that. Yeah. Did you score any 147-1s in a major championship?
I had one in the final of the Swiss Open in 2000, and there's a tale there actually. The table was that bad. The highest break prize, I think, was about £5,000, and the maximum break was £20,000. And I beat Jimmy White in the semi-finals. This was in 2003, and I was playing a guy called Bjorn Hanavier in the final. And I said to Bjorn, I said 105 has to be beaten. I said, we're professionals. This table was that bad. It's a good job Bonfire Night had gone. Let's put it like that. They'd have burnt the table. It was that bad. So I said, Bjorn, I said, it's 20,000 quid for a maximum break. Right? So Bjorn said, right. He said, well, every time we get in, we play for the black. And he said, we'll just split it. If one of us makes a maximum, we'll just split it. You know what's coming, don't you? Story of my life, this. I said, yeah, no problem, Bjorn. I said, let's just try and make the highest break and we'll split that. He went, yeah, no problem, pal. And I ended up making a maximum on a table where I couldn't make a maximum in a million years. And I had to give Bjorn 10,000 quid, which killed me. But the worst bit was I was splitting with my mate as well. So I made a maximum and only got $5,000 for it. But anyhow, by the by. But yeah, final Swiss Open 2003. Never actually made one in a world.
No, I understand that. I understand that because the extra pressure, I would understand.
Yeah,
that.
no, it's not the pressure. It's just opportunities. It's just the opportunities that come along and they don't. And but they only win you one frame, don't they? You know, I think the first 3 or 4 maximums I had were all in money matches, and I lost every money match. So what do you do?
Yeah,
you know.
It's amazing how this word money keeps cropping up quite regularly. I don't know whether it's it's your career. If
I hadn't met my wife, I'd have been loaded. No, don't worry about that. Don't say that, should I? That's terrible.
No, not at all. Not at all.
He loves me, really.
Yes, no, that's no problem at all. We actually we scheduled this when Keith and I were saying, and we talked about, and Keith said, "I've got Ian who's going to come." I thought, "Oh, that'd be great." We can, and we said our normal session is we normally have a bit of a quiz as we did earlier on, and then we had 20 minutes of a guest. And I've just looked at the clock now, and then we normally have a discussion subject afterwards.
Well, let's have a discussion as well. It's all right.
Well, then,
we're not doing no tells, are we?
Looking at Keith. We could talk all day. I'm just looking at Keith here. I tell you what we can do now. Andrew, can I ask you to take all the mutes off? All the mutes all at once. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, can we give a big thank you for giving his time at this particular time to share his memory with us? Can we have a big round of applause for Ian McCulloch? That's worth all the money in the world, that McCulloch. All right.
Got what I like.
What I was going to talk about, basically, is the fact that last week we talked about comedy. We talked about, you know, your favourite comedian and things like that. And I was thinking of TV programmes. I thought I'm trying to pick a general subject. TV programmes with the one on last night quiz about the mother who wants to be a millionaire thing.
Very good. Yeah.
But anybody, you know, we talk about there's dramas, crime, period stuff, reality TV. Anybody popular? Anybody like reality TV? No.
A little bit.
Yeah, you do. But normal people like us down here, we don't know. We don't like reality TV. I tell you what you can do. Can you actually put all the mics on, Andrew? If you put all the mics on, then we could, because we've not much time going. I've got a couple here about. I call it gentle drama. Whether it's New Tricks, Karma Hospital, Grantchester, Call the Midwives. I would play. Anybody want to make any comments about Dave?
I might as well do it while we're here, mightn't I?
Carol, yes, Carol.
Yeah, no, they're the sort of things I like. That's when the husband buggers off to bed and or whatever, and I like watching them. Nice, easy watching.
Sorry, Andrew, I think you better turn all the other mics off because we're getting background noise, which is actually, if you can mute all the other ones. And if anybody wants to make a comment, just put your hand up, but we'll mute them all. It's obviously background noise that's the spanner. So you were saying, Carol, I do that. When Val goes to bed, I actually get to watch the programmes that I like.
Yeah, it's either that or it's me programmes to iron to.
Right.
Record them and do the iron.
To iron to? Is there a certain rhythm you have to iron?
No, it just relieves the boredom, doesn't it? You know, I can go and sit up the ironing board up in bedroom and watch the stuff like that, and I'm not bothering anybody.
Sorry, did I hear right then? So you'd rather iron than go up to bed with your husband?
Oh, I said I'd go in the bedroom and do the ironing in the afternoon.
Oh, sorry, I must have misheard that. Right, sorry, I must have misheard that. Right. Anyway, anybody else like to make a comment? If you just give us a wave. John K, yes, John.
Thanks, Noel. Yeah, I just wanted to mention, actually, little thanks to you and on TV programmes. The English Game, I've just watched it on Netflix after you recommended it last week. Excellent. Really, really
brilliant,
good.
Wasn't it?
Absolutely superb. If anybody hasn't seen it, and hopefully they've got access to Netflix.
Mike, you were doing the same thing. You were doing the thumbs up as well, weren't you?
Yeah, it was after. Was it Tony or somebody mentioned it last week? He watched it.
I mentioned it last week. Oh yeah. So and Barry mentioned it.
Yeah, it was Barry, wasn't it? Mentioned it first, yeah. And I watched it. Yeah, we binged on it last week, and it was actually it was very watchable and very historical and very good, very, very good. Enjoyed it.
Sorry, John. I mean, you started this off. Did you want to? Just a minute. You're not on yet, John. Well, just let me take the mute off for John K. Yes, Andrew.
Oh,
right. Yes, we've got you.
Thanks, Norman. Yeah, I was just looking this morning on my phone. I thought the locations were superb, and it was actually filmed mainly around the Bradford area, around there, and also what was the other place? Somewhere called Broughton Hall, which is near Bradford. I don't know, but I thought the locations were absolutely superb. Really, really.
I thought the whole series, I mean, I know I love the sport, but I thought the whole series, because it brought in the culture as well, the culture and the mills. I thought the whole thing. I mean, Ian, I mean, you're a football fan, Ian. You're a Preston fan, yeah? Sorry, we're not with you. We're not with you yet. We just have to. Just think. He's actually talking, and we can't hear him. I thought that day had never come. You've got a mic now, Ian.
Yeah, obviously, I love my football, but at the moment there's no football to watch, and I know that the football thing you were saying on Netflix there. I've been meaning to watch it for about the last 2 weeks. Everybody's been telling me how good it is.
You want to watch it, Ian? It's brilliant.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah, great story as well as the culture, you know.
Yeah, I think again it's a small luxury. You don't realise these Saturday afternoons. You know, at 4:45, you watch the football results come in, and you just take it for granted, don't you? And
yeah.
We haven't had any for 2 months now, have we?
Yeah. I think I might have mentioned as a comment last week, you know, the fact that as a Bolton fan, the fact that Blackburn won it.
You're not into football then, Norm, no?
Steady now, Max, steady. Janet and I banter about Blackburn and Bolton, but it is quite friendly, you know. Blackburn and Bolton Wanderers is the oldest derby in world.
Is that right?
It's the oldest derby in world football. But so, anybody else? Take care.
Just before you go, Keith, if I can just say something before you go.
Sorry, can Ian just say one more thing? Sorry. Yeah. Sorry, go on, Ian.
Just one more thing before you go. Firstly, thanks for having me on. Obviously, it's been a pleasure. And again, Keith, the work that you do with all this is absolutely fantastic. Norman, you know, with what you do with this is fantastic. You know, we work on the charity stuff. You know, and everybody behind it, thanks very much. I just want to wish everybody in a very, very difficult time the best of health.
Cheers, Ian.
Thank you.
Take care, pal.
Thank you. Take care.
Thanks very much.
Cheers.
Thanks again.